Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio. We're your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show, new topic. Today we're going to talk about our soul. We're going to talk about our well-being with a very, very unique person who actually does special things, travel around the world, and help people. She's a lot of things. She's a coach. She's a psychologist. She's many things, world traveler, and we're going to discuss a little bit how to be better in general. I mean, and I think one of the things that we all strive as humans is how can we do better and be better? And nothing is more important than this, the self. So without further ado, I have Dr. Daphne Erhart, and I am so happy to have you, Doctor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, Hurricane H. I thank you for having me. This is great.
Not my pleasure. And I know we planned it. Now we're here. Well, first things first, Doctor. We were having a discussion. Our mission is to really enlighten people and bring something to them to help them. And I know your work, you do help people. I mean, as a psychologist, there's a lot of that. And, in your at least what I know of you, you've been around the world, you see in a lot of different cultures, you see a lot of people, and you understand people. And, today we want to talk about that. I know you also have this concept of spa soul, right? Or soul spa?
Soul spa.
Soul spa. There you go. Soul spa. So we'll talk about that. I mean, I just love, just two things. The soul is you and the spa is you. When we think spa, we think beautiful, we think fun, we think relaxation, we think the best place you can be. I mean, I guarantee people are listening. If I give you hey, let's go to the spa right now, everybody's going to be thumbs up. Let's do this. So, but there is more to this, right? So as I said, first things first, let's talk about Doctor, your background.
Okay. I go by Dr. Daphne or just Daphne. I'm a psychologist. I'm a doctor of psychology, and I'm also an employee wellness facilitator. And my program is called Soul Spa, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. I'm also a lot of things. I'm a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. I also am a world traveler, and I call myself a lover of animals, people, travel. And right now I happen to be in Nairobi, Kenya, and I am, about exactly 1 year ago now, I decided to be a world citizen and travel the world for at least a year. And I've been to 23 countries in the last year, 53 in my life. And I love traveling. Yes, I love traveling. I love nature. I love meeting new people, new cultures. I love animals. And there's a lot of overlap that I've created in my own life with mental health and travel and just taking self-care and taking care of my soul, and also how travel helps my brain and neuroplasticity. There's so much overlap. Yeah.
well, first of all, thank you, Doc. Impressive. First things first. I mean, you are a doctor, and you help people. That's one. But one thing that you have an edge on is the fact that not everybody and not every doctor has probably hit 50 plus, countries around the globe. And again, there may be many that do, because I do know a few doctors that love to travel as well. But I know doctors typically are busy. And but I love something that you stated is that you want to be a world citizen and discover different parts of the world. And a lot of us, whatever we are in the world today and listening to the show, we are practically in that country or whatever town. Maybe we move around the country, we move about the country, but that's about it. Some people have a chance to leave the countries and discover other places. And some may not. I mean, I can tell you there are parts of the world where if you don't have a visa, you can't go anywhere. To some parts of the world, if you can't even get a passport. So it is tough. And so one of the blessings I think that we have is the ability to actually go a lot of places and just, have free access. But even with that, there are requirements to that. I mean, there are needs, means, you need to have financials, you need to have some stuff, not necessarily. And I know people that want to travel, they make it happen. They do different things around their trip to make sure that they have always some sort of financial, aspect that helps them going through. But the idea of discovery of the world and hitting, in 1 year, that's impressive. That's a lot of countries in a very, a year is not a long time. And, if you want to really discover and enjoy every destination, you do want to spend some time, right? And what I think the beauty of it, and I can relate to it because I travel myself and I enjoy traveling. Now, I don't know if I did 50 countries, but I think I'm close. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I think if I add them up, I think it adds up.
Quality that matters, like you say. It sometimes it's really nice just to stay in one place for a while. I've been here for a month. And some places I didn't even plan to go to, and I went to by accident on the way. So it's not really the numbers, even though I did experience a lot of cultures during this time, which has been nice. But yeah, you're right. I feel so grateful that I've been able to experience the world, and I'm very happy about it. I'm 46 years old. I thought that I would not be able to do this because I had a job that was face-to-face for so long. And then during COVID, everything switched. So I actually used that as a springboard. And then I also decided to move away from one-on-one, and I work with groups now with employees. So, and doing group retreats and stuff with Soul Spa. So, yeah, I think it's I feel very grateful and lucky to be able to be a world traveler. And I found that I've created this life slowly but surely. It didn't happen overnight. And I'm very grateful for it.
Well, so doctor, let's talk about a few things you just stated there. I mean, first of all, being grateful, and that's a big thing, right? I mean, we ought to ourselves to be grateful for things we have. And I think everybody has something in their life. Sometimes we don't see what we have until it's gone, until, we are somewhere else or something is missing. And wow, I had all this and I never realized that. We have health, everybody. Well, again, I wouldn't say everybody. There are people, unfortunately, that may have diseases, sicknesses from the day they're born. But overall, if you have health, you should be grateful. If you have family, you should be grateful. If you have anything in your life that you have, it's something that to be so grateful for. As little as it is or big, it doesn't matter. Sometimes we're just greedy and we want everything, which is okay. If you can, why not? But sometimes the little things, being safe can be, something to be grateful for. Oh. It's a huge thing.
Very huge. Yes. Little things.
Yeah, little things. And now, you're blessed in the idea that you were able to travel, but someone can listen like, well, lucky you're a doctor, you were able to do this. But you said it doesn't happen overnight. You had to put the time, you had to build up to it. You mentioned the age, it is taboo to mention age with ladies, but you started there, so I'm not gonna challenge it. So you said 46. It's a midlife. It's a beautiful age. You're doing a lot of stuff, and actually. It is, we refer to midlife crisis in general as a general term. But really in the 40s, that's when we kind of we want to catch on and do different things. And it's a good time because at that time you would have already established yourself as a career. You had some financial backing. And now it's time to do this, discover your own self and do different things for you. And we see that pattern across male and female. People do this. They get to between the 40s. They want to get a new car. They want to get something new. They want to have a new life, if you want to call it that way, and they enjoy themselves. And it is because the minute we are born, we are running. I mean, literally, you're programmed. You get up, do this, you go to school. Your next school is high school, blah, blah, blah. Then college, and then college, you got to get a job. And so you're just running after that formula that's already pre-established, but you don't find yourself until you realize, like, and even our maturity level is not there yet until you get to that midlife. I mean, some people are more mature than others early on, but typically you're not fully aware until you're in that group, in terms of mindset. And then you start doing things. And you said it. And again, the reason I'm highlighting this point is that people sometimes want things easy or quick gratification. I want things today. I want things yesterday. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. We all want things to happen, but it takes time to get to things. You're able to do this now after a long journey, but you know what you're doing and how and where you are today, and you're making it as a conscious decision. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think I had a quarter life crisis when I was in my mid 20s. Another like a couple times in my 30s. But I think it served me well to always be questioning, am I doing what I really want to be doing? This is my life. I'm 25, I'm 35, I'm 40, whatever it is. Am I living where I want to be? I remember when I was 36, I decided to sell my house and move to the ocean because I always wanted to live to the ocean. I was asking myself, hey, are you living the life you want to live? And that's actually one of the things I do in Soul Spa about visualization. Are you living your daydream? What is your ideal life? What is your daydream of an ideal life? And then why aren't we living it? Is what would be the next step to live it? Of course, it might not happen overnight. It could, it might not. But also to be really aware of what are the internal rules that I'm thinking needs to happen in order to live this life that it might not necessarily be true. For example, I am traveling the world. A lot of people put that on a pedestal. They think, oh, you need to have a lot of money to do that, or you need to do this or this to do that. Actually, it is a lot cheaper to be traveling the world than to be living in the United States for me right now. I mean, we don't need to go into that little detail, but just to be questioning, hey, what am I doing inside of myself that might be keeping me small or living a life? Like, what is my ideal life and what would be the next right step? So gratefulness, one thing that you had pointed out earlier, living in gratitude and being very conscious of emotional states. There are studies that show that when we wake up first thing in the morning, our emotions and our mental status, which is our thoughts and emotions, how our thoughts and emotions are when we first wake up in the morning and then right before we fall asleep are extremely powerful. And they actually are correlated with telomeres in our brain, which are associated with longevity and neuroplasticity. So that means that just that small amount of time when you first wake up in the morning, that small amount right before you go to sleep, can actually help you live longer and can help your brain work better. I mean, it can do so much. So why aren't we taking advantage of that? So one of the things I do to help people take advantage of this special time is I create affirmations. So instead of having to think, oh my goodness, how do I have a positive mindset now? It just, press play on a meditation for 5 minutes and have those affirmations spoken to you can be very helpful. You can find that on my website, but two of them I can share with you right now. One of them is one of my favorites that has been so recently is I take the next right step. So sometimes life can be overwhelming and it can feel like, how do I solve this whole entire problem or meet this great goal right now? And everyone is prone to that. I'm prone to that. I get overwhelmed with my big goals and I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I'm have this huge goal. I wish I had it completed yesterday, like what you said earlier. Why can't I be more patient with myself? But you know what? I remind myself, Daphne, just take the next right step. What is the next right step? What is that next step for you? It can be as small as drinking water to get in the right to feel more healthy and get in the right mindset set. It can be as simple as just a positive thought towards yourself when you're feeling negative or whatever it is. Another one that I like a lot is, another affirmation I use a lot is, everything is already working out in my favor, whether I realize it or not. And I know that can be a leap sometimes when it seems like everything's going wrong, but we don't know exactly what's going wrong and what's going right. Sometimes, today I had an appointment. It was a facial appointment, okay? And the person did not show when they should have, and I had to leave because I wanted to be at my podcast interview on time. So I didn't get to have that, and I was disappointed. And I was a little frustrated, like, why doesn't somebody meet their appointment time? I can't wait forever. But you know what? It might have been protecting me from something. I never know. I could have gotten sick. Maybe they were ill. I could have gotten sick. Maybe I needed that extra time to be in the right mindset. Who knows? But I really do believe that things do work out. And sometimes it takes believing that it's working out to make it work out. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, it does. And by the way, you're literally speaking my language. So first things
Okay.
first, I hear you, I understand you, and I literally use the same concept in my life because I do believe in that. I'm not just saying it on this show. I actually have said it many times, and I apply these things. It is powerful what you talked about. It is literally talked about longevity, talked about all these triggers that we have, and the mind is capable of great things. I mean, we don't even understand the mind well enough, right? And the power of positivity and the mindset can change everything about how you go about life. You've given some examples, and I'll get deeper in there. But you said something about a simple thing, like the next better step or easy step or just one step. And by the way, we all know this concept, right? It's baby steps, right? One step at a time. We hear these things all the time, but we don't apply them appropriately over time. Most of us, we know this, we say them, but do we really take that? I mean, what does it take to get to the next? I mean, the mile begins with one step, so 1 inch, and so the idea is it's important to set your, I guess, barometer, if you want to call it, or whatever meter that you have, to get you going, and that will apply and help you. You talked about before you go to sleep and when you wake up. Great moments. I mean, you want to go to sleep grateful for the day you had. I mean, you had a great day, no matter what it is, good and bad. Some people didn't have a day. Some people had a awful day, worse than you, even if sometimes we think we have the worst time. But always think about not the ones that are having a better time, but think how many people may have had worse than you. So, and then you're like, oh, well, it's not so bad after all. So you adjust to those decisions. That's actually the way you look at your mindset. It's like the positivity concept versus negativity. It's like cup half full versus cup half empty. If you look at it that way and you always see the positive, you will act positive. And then in the morning, you said it, you wake up, your mind is going to absorb whatever you say. Oh, what a day. Forget about it. You just squished everything. But if you say like, oh my God, I feel great. It's a great day today. I'm going to be successful. Something good is going to happen today. And you're going to believe in that. Now, it may or may not happen. It doesn't matter. But your mind now is psychiated nicely and it's really pumped and you're ready. You're refreshed. You said something about affirmations. People miss that. It's like sometimes I do believe it's not hard to say like I am feeling good. I think I'm great at what I do. It's not. It's even if it's false or you're not believing it in the first place. Just keep saying it, and you got to stop saying is believing. Stay it enough. You're probably going to start believing in yourself more. It's self-confidence. It's that I got this. I think today is going to be the day. And you said something also more powerful is that things happen for a reason. You never know. We plan, but there are pre-planned things for us. And the idea is that everything happens. I do state this in my family and in my circles. Everything happens for a reason, and everything works out at the end. I've lived with this concept, and it has served me well. And even to your point, when the worst things are going, but then I'm like, what could be the outcome of this? Like, what can come out of this positive? And when I start thinking, Like, wow. And I actually did this exercise a couple of times in the last couple of weeks where I said to people, just look at your past and see all the events that happen. And you're going to start like visualizing, to your point, visualization, like, wow, if these things didn't happen, and, like if I had done one move here, this wouldn't have happened, but I did this, and then the results were that. And I didn't even plan for those things, and they happened. You said it. You went to get a facial, didn't work out, but you don't know what that could have happened. You moved. People sometimes they have an emergency. We've heard about these things. An emergency, they don't make it, and then they hear about a catastrophe, an accident on the road or something.
Yeah.
And you didn't make it. Luckily, something stopped you. You don't know what's good for us, but you gotta believe.
Yes. And I know it might sound a little silly that I was so upset about a facial, but you know what? That's true. Like, you never really know. So how can I be really upset when maybe it protected me of something, and maybe I can get a better one another day. Who knows? Maybe I didn't need
deal.
Who knows? Yeah.
But doctor, it's your positivity that's making that. You see, you're not upset about it.
Yes, and that helps to have reminded myself, because I had 5 or 10 minutes there when I was like, oh man, I just sat here for 30 minutes and I could have been doing blah blah blah. There's a reason I can just let it go. Maybe I need to just learn how to let things go. Maybe this is a test for me. And you know what? There's a very interesting psychological principle where when people are presented with a challenge or something negative, but then another group is presented with the same exact challenge or something negative, but they're told, hey, this is a test. The ones that are told and go with the mindset, oh, I'm going to pass this test, it's a challenge to myself, they do a lot better. And actually, they can turn it into something good usually. So remember that for our listeners and for us, for me, I should be speaking to myself, I remind myself that, it's all a mindset. Of course, there are devastating things in life, in the world, some things that are not fair, or I don't think any human should go through. But for the most part, we have things that are, the things I go through are things I should be grateful for complaining about, and what can I learn in this situation? There's something to learn. And I look for that to find it. I do my best to find it. Sometimes I'm learning patience, or just to make the most out of something when it didn't go my way, or how to be stronger in some way. But yeah, I think that's
it's amazing. You're touching on a lot of great things for people watching and listening right now. The idea just is, I love what he said. I'm saying it to myself. Sometimes we give advice, but we can take that advice as well. It's not just to give out. It's also when I always say this, I do this work and I'm the first client. I absorb all this myself first before, as it's shared live, but I'm getting this feed, good frequency and good vibes, and it keeps me motivated. And every day, I question things, but then I always try to find what's in it for me. There's definitely something there. And you have to remind yourself that things are happening. And you're right. Sometimes you have no control of things. And that's the other thing. If I have no control over things and they happen already, there's nothing I could have done. They happened the way they were supposed to happen in the right time that it happened. And there's nothing you could have done. Now, understand that rule. Like you can't dwell like, oh my God, why did it happen? Why people drive, they beat themselves out, and then they just like have this demeanor about themselves, and then it shuts them down. No, it happened. What's my lesson? Let's move on. It is a lesson. That means you actually positively learned something, as opposed to looking at like it was a bad day. Like, what did I learn from this day? And now I can do better next time. And so it is again, you affirm to yourself. It's affirmation. It's the mental state. It's like you have to have that mindset, like things are happening for a reason. And we live in a universe we don't even understand well enough. Spiritually, religiously, many of us question. We have religions, we have debates, we have this, we have that, we have science, but we still are not clear about how this whole operates. We have ideologies or ideas of how it is based on observation over centuries, whatever, or textbooks. But at the end of the day, it is still we have very little knowledge of this universe and the functionality. We understand some of the stuff, and yet because of that, we try to have our own opinions about different things. We learn. But at the end of the day, there are things that are standard across the board. You're, in Africa, I'm in the States, people are watching right now from all over the world. And one thing in common is that whatever is happening right now, it is happening. And maybe there's nothing you can do about it, you and I. It is happening because it is happening and it will not change. Now, our actions may change some other things, but once it happens, because here's the thing, sometimes we plan to do a lot of things. None of them work out.
Yes.
They don't.
Yes, I know. You're saying so many things. I had to take a little bit of notes just so I don't forget some things that are so important. But one of the things that you just said was that you started out with was you don't do it. You don't tell anyone anything until you've done it yourself, which is that's the exact thing I do too. Like in my soul spa, I'm not telling people, hey, have a good life by doing this and this and this without practicing it first. And the hardest thing, I think, is to do it yourself first with no one watching, with nobody to cheer you on. You just learn it, how to do it from the bottom up, inside out. That's what I've been doing. I've created this life. It hasn't happened. It didn't happen. It wasn't just given to me, and I learned how to conceptualize what I want and then make it happen in real life and deal with difficult situations emotionally, in every way. And and travel is great. Travel is great because it's so challenging all the time. I mean, in great ways. It challenges me to think differently. It challenges me to be present in the moment. I mean, even the outlets are different. Right before this happened, when my the charger that plugs into the wall, fell apart. So I had to go borrow a charger just to make sure I have enough battery for this podcast. But the different types of how you turn on the light, what side of the road people are driving on, just even small little things like what is expected culturally to say when you enter a store or something. I don't know. All these tiny little things. It's great because it forces me not to go on autopilot. It forces me to be present in the moment, to live consciously, which is fundamental in meditation, actually, because meditation is being aware. It's about awareness. It's being aware of my thoughts, my feelings, and choosing consciously, oh, this thought came across, that if I dwell on that thought, it's going to make me feel angry. Or if I dwell on this next thought that also came across, oh, it's going to make me feel grateful or happy, or feel like, oh, I have a purpose in life. This is my purpose. So by the way, the two things they found that if you concentrate in the morning are gratefulness is one of them, but the other thing is purpose. So if you wake up and you're like, my purpose is this. My purpose is to spread positivity and education through my podcast, for example. I have a purpose today. Like that is something positive that you're working towards. And that also, does the same thing. So anyway, so travel forces me to be in the moment and have awareness. And it's almost like a living meditation every day. And another thing, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Another thing you mentioned that I took notes on really quick when you were, I was like, I do not want to forget this, is you mentioned there are things we can control and there are things we can't control. And that is super important to me too, because especially it just seems like we're bombarded with things from what's going on in the world. And there are things that can feel so scary and out of control. And we want to make the world a better place. Your podcast, what I do, we both want to make the world a better place. I'm sure the listeners do too. The ones that are attracted to a podcast like this want to make the world a better place. What can we control? What can we actually do? Well, we can control some things. There's a lot we can control, but maybe not the whole entire world. But I can control, but what I found that motivates people towards goals. So, for example, let's say I have a goal in 2 years, I want to do this. I want to have this kind of life. Picture it. Like if you're listening, picture, okay. Is it okay if I do a quick exercise? I don't know. This
No,
just
no,
came.
please. This is your platform. I'm enjoying. I'm actually. You said picture. I was already closing my eyes trying to get an image.
Awesome. Okay, so yes, take a moment. Picture it. Close your eyes if you want to. Take a breath in and then exhale. Let the exhale be longer than your inhale. The exhale is what calms your body and helps you get into the state of meditation. So exhale and then take some moments and visualize, what would your ideal life be if in 2 years you woke up and everything was different? Your dream somehow came true. All of a sudden, your daydream, your fantasy of a life became reality. What would that be? How would you know things were different when you first opened your eyes? What would be the first thing you noticed? Where would you be living? Who would be in your day-to-day life? What would you do first thing in the morning? And most importantly, how would you be feeling? And you can open your eyes now if you were doing this exercise. So have that picture and then ask yourself, if this were my life today, if it's my life today, how am I feeling? What are the emotions that it's giving me? What is the purpose of having this? What will it give me? What will it give my loved ones? What am I feeling? And usually what everyone finds is the reason we want these things, the reason we have these goals and purpose is because we want a certain feeling. It might be that we want the world to be a better place because that helps us feel peace or joy or unconditional love or secure or bliss, it's usually a positive feeling we want, which is good. So, there is a little bit of a shortcut. And the shortcut is to focus on having those feelings now. So it's kind of like a muscle, though, because sometimes it's hard to have that feeling when you feel lack or fear or uncertainty. But it is possible to start exercising. Hey, I'm going to take these 5 minutes in the morning and feel good. Just feel good. Put all the things that I'm worrying about on a list for later. And I'm going to feel good. And I'm going to feel these feelings and just focus on these affirmations, these purposes for my day. And, when we start to feel good from the inside out, it changes us. It changes whoever we interact with that day, our loved ones, whoever is closest to us. And then those people start changing and changing their environment. So it is us changing the world. It is making the world a better place. So we do have some control. We have control over ourselves. And then that in turn creates the world around us and makes the world better.
Wow. First of all, thank you for the exercise, because I was following with you, and I can relate to that. And I know that if everybody practices this, I guess small, it was literally a minute or two worth, that we can all do on a daily basis, and just keep that image, keep that vision, keep that mission in place. And believe it or not, it's not far-fetched. I mean, you put anything in your mind, you're going to start, things are going to manifest that will drive you towards whatever that dream and goal to happen. There's no doubt it happens. It is real. The more you are visualizing your stuff, the more things are going to be put in place somehow on your way. And, even timeline, may move up. If you set up 2 years, maybe it's sooner. You never know. The more you put in, the more you're going to get. It is so powerful that your mind is going to exercise this, and then you're going to find yourself doing things in a way that is unique, different, and better than ever. And the next thing you know, you're going to find yourself with the right entourage. You're going to find yourself in situations that almost going to add up to your vision and mission. It's going to change things. Doctor, you mentioned powerful things about awareness, being aware. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's you mentioned something about believe, that you have to believe. I mean, that's also another thing. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that things are going to happen, you don't believe that, you can manifest things and you can get things done. Well, who else is going to do it for you, right? It starts with you, right? It's like you said, it's all about here. Then when you do good here, everything else is going to fall in place. You're going to be a good, Samaritan, or someone that's going to bring good contribution to the world. You said it. You and I are doing this work. We want the world to be a better place. And people are watching this are probably attracted to the same discussion, the same topic, or the same, at least, mission. And they will also in turn this and share with other people and so on and so forth. And we're doing that. And so, and it keeps us motivated. As a matter of fact, the more I talk about this, the more shows I do, the more I want to do more, and the more I want to do, a little better for myself and for others. And it just keeps me pumped. You talked about, the example of the plug, right? Adaptability. That's the thing. Like you said, travel teaches you a lot of different ways because you actually are constantly moving. Not everything is the same. I mean, we are so accustomed to our certain frame that we actually been born and surrounded with throughout our career or our lives. And let's say in the States, we have a certain way of living. Now, as soon as you move out to other places, they have different things. Their switches are different. Like 3-point the drive is different. Signs are different. Food is different. Cultures are different. Dress code is different. All these things. And you got to adjust. You got to adapt. It's not the same. And so, if you're only in one frame, you're not going to be able to always see it the other way. But as you travel, you're more adaptable. You're more flexible. You actually understand things and you can literally fit all over. You're malleable. That means you're not going to break. If you are rigid and you only know one way, well, that's tunnel vision and that's all you know. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. And of course, not everybody has the ability to do that. Now, today with what we have, Zoom and TV and all over the world, you can see the world for what it is, but experience it in person is different. And all the stuff that you're talking about is really shifting how you would become as a person. I love the idea of the exercise that if you visualize things and do it hard enough, you will get in there. You will make it happen. Another thing that it's funny you said it is cheaper to to probably travel than live. I would not disagree with you. I mean, it costs a lot of money to have a home and this and that. I actually met people who have done that, sold everything and they just travel the world, and it's actually cheaper on a month-to-month basis than what they would have done. Now, people question, well, you need to generate income. Some people do work when they're actually on these trips and make things happen and generate enough revenue. There's so many things. People do teaching, tutoring, whatever, maybe workshops, whatever, and they get going, and it makes a difference. But the idea is, if it's for you, you're going to find a way. If there is a will, there's a way.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
So Doctor, let's talk about Soul Spa.
Okay.
we are touching on it, but for the employees, right?
Yes.
So that was one thing that attracted me in the first discussion you and I had. It was like, hey, that's a different angle. I mean, everybody's an employee somewhere. Even when you work for yourself, you're an employee. So it is the most stressful world that we live in, and work is part of that, and we get all hype about it. So let's talk about that.
Yes, yeah, we live in a very stressful world, and a lot of employees are quitting because they're not happy at work. They realize that their life is more valuable than the 40 hours during their week that they're working. If they're not happy, they realize that's a chunk, that is their life. That is the chunk of our waking life is our work. So it's very, very important to feel on purpose at work and to feel good. So a lot of employers nowadays have started to value that for their employees. They want their employees to feel good and to feel like they're doing it on purpose and contributing to what the company goal is, but that is making the world a better place and that it's contributing to their life goals as well. So some of them have opted to gift them, like, for example, 1 hour a week of meditation, learning how to manage stress better, learning to have healthy relationships, so that if you're happy and you're feeling good and you're not overwhelmed, your productivity is higher. You're going to work in a good mood. You do a good job. The whole company prospers from that. Mm-hmm. 1 hour of making sure the employees are okay, so that the rest of the 39 hours they're doing a great job is worth it, for the company. So it's good for everybody to be in the right mindset during the week, whether we're working for somebody else or whether we're working for ourselves. So that's the gist of the employee wellness program of Soul Spa. So I have Soul Spa for employee wellness, and then I have also retreats for people that want to do it outside of their place of work.
Wow. Well, so let's break that down quickly. Couple of things. One, we live in a stressful world, and every single event that is occurring around us is contributing to more stress, and obviously stress affects your cells, and that's why we have disease and we have other things, right? And it's been proven that people that have no stress or less stress, they have a better, lifestyle, and they enjoy themselves better. Even aging, is different. But you talked about the concept of employee, and you talked about 40 hours a week. I mean, that's really not really true 100%, because not everybody is working 40 hours. People are working 60 hours, 50 hours.
That's true. Good point.
I mean, sometimes because they need the overtime, sometimes because if your salary, there is no time. So therefore you're working 24/7, literally. I mean, in the corporate world, if you are a manager or above, that is nonstop. If you are, a line staff, you're working the hours, but most of the time the income is not enough. You're going to put some extra hours to put more, right? To get additional dollars. So at the end of the day, we're averaging more. And if you add the commute time to these jobs, forget about it. We
Good
sleep
point.
about 8 hours. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I was just thinking that means that literally all of our waking time is work. So that is so important. Our mindset and our happiness at work is our life. So let's make it worth it. Let's do something great with it.
Well, thank you. It's funny because you said that, because when I've been in the corporate world and I've been leading teams, and one of the things that we try to do is we spend more time together than sometimes even at home. That's actually that becomes almost your first family versus your actual family. And you think about how many hours you're actually at work versus how many at home. There's a chance that you're spending more time with your colleagues than your actual spouse or significant other or your even kids. And that's unique. But you're right. If the environment is toxic, if you're not happy, if you're not, first of all, you're not going to give. That means your performance is going to be poor. You're going to be burned out quick, and probably going to be just terminated for whatever reason. Or, you're just going to quit because you can't take it. If not, you're going to have a toll on your health, and, maybe something devastating is going to happen to you, mentally or physically. It's not a cool thing at all. And you're right. People are aware now of this. Employers are more like, I want my people to be healthier, happier, and they are investing in their employees. Well, not everybody, but it's getting as a trend now. I mean, I've actually a good example. Last year, I had a show with the hypnotherapist, Robert.
Yeah.
Robert, shout out to you. And we've been in touch, and he's done some podcasts and that we produced here. But I hired him for a service for the team, and we did 6 weeks of hypnotherapy sessions, and it was educational. It was a little hypnosis in there, and it helped the motivation of the team. It gradually helped them actually understand themselves better and do more things and be a better performers. And it was a great exercise, and that was not a lot of money from a corporation's perspective. But the investment and the outcome is definitely better. And these are salespeople that are always in a stressful environment. And so this was a means to help and kind of get them better. And everybody agreed that they've learned something out of those sessions that they can apply in their life. And that's a true example of how it is done. Now, leaders out there, employers, if you're listening, watching, there's a lot of programs, and your investment, if you want to succeed, the best investment is in your employees and your staff, because without them, you can't run. I mean, you can replace people over and over, but then you run out. I mean, today, it's hard to find talent. It's hard to find talent to keep, because People are tending to move to where they're going to get better, not only compensation, but environment. People are big with work environment today.
Yes.
People, if it's toxic, to be honest with you, I mean, we hear this quote all the time. People don't leave, jobs, they leave bad managers and stuff and leaders, but it's culturally accepted, to create some of these leaders that are wrong. And then therefore the staff, they just flee. They don't want to stay there anymore because of one person or a couple of people. They move on. So companies now are more aware of these things, and they want to keep the talent correct. They want to keep everybody's in the right motivation, and certainly reach out to help. And I love your concept where you do these sessions. To meditation is great. As a matter of fact, talking about meditation and hypnosis, I remember me personally, 1996. My boss brought in actually I think it was a psychologist, and we did hypnosis, meditation, and all the stuff in a classroom, all of us for a couple of days, and it was an experience to date that I still live with. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I've applied it. I mean, as you can see, last year I did something similar because it stayed with me as an experience. It is important. I mean, if you really care about your staff, you're going to do the right thing by them, and you're going to help them. And there's nothing better than helping their mindset, helping their psyche, helping them feel good about themselves, be more, and they will be more attracted to do for you and
Oh,
perform.
yes. They're going to be loyal. You're going to be able to trust them. You're going to be able to know when they come in the morning, they're motivated. It's coming from internal motivation, not because they're wanting to look like they're working or something, because they really want to. And they will be on purpose. They will be in a good mood. They will be loyal. They will want to get things done for the team and for the company. Their brain will work better. They'll have more neuroplasticity, so they can think out of the box, create solutions better. Teamwork, be able to communicate with their team in a healthy way that moves towards what they want. Yeah, it'll help so much. Just putting a tiny bit into them and to the employees' well-being is going to help everybody. Win-win-win all the way around for everybody.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, you're right. It's win-win, because here's the thing. Even the work that you will do to help them as an employee is going to benefit them not only at the workspace, but also in their life. Because if they're happier, they also take the positive and happiness to the families. I mean, we know people divorcing, people having attitude, people having problems with their kids, and so on and so forth, because they're so stressed. They come home, they're not really in the mood, and then they clash. But if they're so happy and so comfortable, it becomes so cool, and the relationships are different. You're not actually a bad influence on everything around you. Like, you're on edge. I mean, you're driving and you're like, anger management, needy. You need someone to help you immediately because you're driving behind the wheels and you're excited about everybody that is passing you by. So literally that's what happens when you are in that realm. But if you are in a better place, if you're healthier, spiritually, physically, mentally, you're actually less, inclined to do bad things and get a bad reaction in your life and your entourage. And then hopefully, because here's the thing, if you're in a bad place, you might react and do bad things yourself and wind up in jail, dead, in a bad place, in a fight, God forbid. And that, I had shows about anger management and like sometimes people just driving and road rage, right? The drivers behind these things can be work, I again, another example I literally apply. I've changed the way I've done my meetings. And so I never start a meeting before 10 o'clock. And my last meeting would be like no later than 3 o'clock to 4, the latest. I mean, 4 would be like extreme. The reason being is that I don't want people to stress up in the morning, because that's what happens is they come in, they're trying to be prepared, 8:30, 9 o'clock meeting. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. And they're walking up like all crazy and they're just on the road like zombies. And then they get there. You're not going to get much from them. There's nothing that I can change, and people can disagree with me. We can debate this until doomsday. I know it works because I've tested it, and the people are better. The old school system, like, well, you got to show up at 8:30. And by the way, I did that before because I didn't know better. And then as I evolved, I realized that was not worth it. I get better. As we say, better with honey than vinegar. That's actually that's the honey. You help them, you make them feel good about it, and they'll do more. I can squeeze in all the good work in 4 hours. And frankly, nobody's working really 8 hours good. Let's be fair. Let's be real. people in the office, there's a lot of just bullshit going on, in between. A lot of people on the screen, doing stuff or just kind of like, making meetings for no reason. But if you want to get the real work, let's just get the real work, the real juice, and you can get more from these people. But you have to adapt and change things. But if you're not caring for your people, if you're not doing things for them to be motivated, motivation is great for your staff. And using your help, for example, is an awesome tool, to do that. And there's so many ways, to do this. Team builder, you mentioned something about team.
Yes.
People are working in silos. Like, again, I'm in the sales world, and in sales, it's all, it's competitive, and people are like, I want me, but you can still work in sales environments as a sales team and still be very friendly and be, coherent and working together as a unit. But that's the thing. So you have to kind of almost generate these things by goodwill, by making the team feel that they're part of the family and that you care about them. And believe it or not, when you do that, how many people today, and I'm not saying because I'm hyping myself. Maybe people tell me this just to make me feel good. I don't know. But if they did, thank you for whatever it is. But I can tell you that people have followed me in different companies not because of who I am, is because I am good to them. And I see them as friends, as family, and I help them. I'm always there for them. I always say, when you're a leader, for example, they don't work for you work for them. You see, but that's like, the stuff that you have to change in your strategy if you really want to take care of employees. Like I said, this show, when we first connected, I love the idea that you do this specifically for employees and you're helping those things, happen for them, and therefore changing their lives to a better way. And that is not everybody's talking about, employee mental health. I don't see a lot of discussion about it. Right? I don't. I mean, maybe there is.
But we are all human, and workers are human. And humans cannot run on empty. So if we want them to, even if it's a selfish thing for the company's perspective, they want more productivity, it would still benefit them to just make sure their employees are okay. But of course, like you said, helping them feel good inside is going to help them at work and at home. And then it's going to spread to whoever they interact with at home, their family. It's everyone's way of making the world a better place.
It's funny you saying that, and something came to my mind. They just had that new Top Gun movie. I'm not sure if you follow.
I don't think I saw it. I can't remember.
Yeah, it just came out, and one thing in there's a scene about team and how you kind of work with your crew. Now, obviously, these are like Air Force, like Navy, pilots, and they're the top of the top, the elite Top Gun. And so there's this scene where the commanding officer, Tom Cruise, who is actually the captain, he's being given the order to build these guys for a mission that has to happen in no time, right? And they were so competitive, they hated each other, first. So one day, the commander is like, looking for them. No one is in the classroom, and they're all on the beach playing. He was like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, "You wanted a team, right? This is your team." Because before that, they were all fighting against each other. They were all like, who's going to be the lead? Who's going to be this? Who's going to get the mission? But there was no team built. And so he took the time to give them some free will, some good times, and help them. It's a simple example. And actually those little moments change, how people do. When you take your team out, just to hang out, and they can have a casual time. When you reward them, that way, and you work with them and you give them some breaks. Someone needs some extra time. Take the time. I'm a firm believer in that, when you help, the people to be comfortable and ease up on their difficulties, it resonates. It works for them. And therefore they'll always be there for you when you need them. They'll jump if you tell them to jump. But many people don't realize that, oh, you're just a worker bee. I need you to do this. If you don't this, you get fired, So, and that's the old mentality. It doesn't work. But you gotta, like you said it, they are humans. We are humans. We're all employees. As a matter of fact, we all work for ourselves. I mean, I believe I work for myself, never work for anybody, even though I work in a company. But at the end of the day, the employees and even the employers, take the corporation, they're still run by people. And those people are also humans. And they do report to someone. The CEOs also report to the board. The board reports to the government. There's always somebody that you report to. And it takes few humans to decide whether you have a job or not have a job, or whether you're going to have a happy times or no happy times. So we should all think about how that impact is and what that means to us as humans and to the performance. And you said it's selfish. Well, okay, it's a business. We get it. But there's nothing that says we cannot have a good business growth with a good mentality and a support to our, the people that we make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah, you said it so clearly. That's so true. So you make it sound so logical. Yeah, of course, it is logical. That's how it works. So why
so
not
doctor,
go with yes.
so Soul Spa is available right now worldwide, I'm assuming, to you. You are everywhere?
Yes, it is. I do a lot on Zoom, but I'm also available to come in person. So if anyone wants to contact me, you can contact me through my website, which is spaforthesoul.com, spa, the number 4, thesoul.com. And you can send me a message there if you'd like your employees to have a soul spa, or if you would just like to have a free meditation, book chapter, video. I have some freebies to give away there, or just to learn more about it. Yeah, spaforthesoul.com. I also have a travel YouTube channel. So if you want to follow me for travel, on my travel adventures, or I have some free meditations and trainings there too. That is Soul Spa Travel. So just go to YouTube and type in Soul Spa Travel and you'll find me.
Well, doctor, I want to just touch on that. Thank you for sharing the where people can work with you. And I believe that, as you said, with Zoom, you can be all over the world and still be able to deliver. Yeah. And you can do in person if they needed you. So, yeah. But you talked about the travel piece. I can tell you personally, if I work 3 months, I got to take at least 1 week in between and go somewhere. And that changes when I come back, I'm refreshed, I'm doing better, I'm actually ready. And I don't feel the pressure as much because I'm breaking it down. So in a year, I do a few, trips, and I just kind of relax and do my thing. And then I come back. It's really great for you. Talking about, a relaxation. I mean, it's a true spa for your mind and body and spirit. It's amazing. So travel, that you do. And I think your YouTube channel for the travel is definitely something that can help. And even just looking at it and getting excited about it can help.
Yes, I think so. Just having a different mindset, switching things up in your brain a little bit, that helps a lot. Yeah. So when I worked at a certain location and I would take some time off to travel, whenever I came back, I would be so productive. I would do so much because I was fresh and I was in a really good place. And then I would come and have so much to give. So whether you're traveling across the world or whether you're traveling in your spirit by watching travel videos or just taking care of yourself so that you come refreshed, that's the key to it. And there's one little thing I wanted to leave you with when it comes to affirmations and things you say in the morning, or it could be your purpose or whatever. It is nice to start with, you could start small, start with something even very basic. As long as you believe it about yourself or about the world, it can be very, very small. And then from there it grows. So you don't have to go from 0 to 100 immediately. You can just take baby steps, the next right step with that.
All right. Well, so I was going to ask, what would be a good advice for our audiences since we're coming to the end of the show. I will take that. I mean, is there anything you want to add that's just a direct, advice to the people?
I think I feel like I've told you to do a lot, but just be yourself. If there's any way to show yourself some love, compassion, you don't have to be perfect. Just it'll help you just to show yourself some grace and love and compassion today. That's
all right. Well, Doctor, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us today. I had a great time. The hour went by fast.
It did. I can't believe it. Yes, it's been a pleasure for me too. This has been very interesting and very fun talking to you. Thank you for having me, Hurricane H.
No, thank you. And there is a time delay. I think it's later. I mean, over there, I think, right?
Yes, it is 11 p.m. right now. So
Yeah,
it's
you're in
later.
the future.
I mean, the future looks bright. Don't worry.
So I was going to ask. So thank you for clarifying. It's a joke I have always when I do time differences. It's either I'm in the past or in the future. So and it's real. I mean, it sounds weird, but it's real because you're really in the future. You're already there. Well, listen, keep up the great work out there and enjoy the world. And hey, listen, you never know. Maybe the next opportunity I have, at an employer, I will seek your help, and maybe we can have you come on and do some work with our teams there. Okay.
Please do. Yeah, that sounds fun. Wonderful. Thank you so much again, Hurricane H, for having me. This has been a great hour talking with you. I've really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. And so, folks, I hope you enjoyed our show today. I'm Hurricane H. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic. Bye for now.